Start talking. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Please come on in and join us if you haven't. We are proud to present our next presenter, Don Meyer, so sorry, with Checkpoint Software Technologies. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Whoa, sorry about that. I'm going to be speaking about an interesting subject, but more importantly, I'm going to be introducing a very interesting speaker. We're fortunate to be joined with a partner here, and not only a partner, but a customer of ours, who's going to be able to articulate exactly what we're doing in a much more cohesive way. And quite honestly, I'd like to spend a lot more time with going through his story. Before we do that, it's interesting times that we live in. And ultimately, our networks are evolving far faster than I've ever seen before in this industry. And the demands that we place on the network are quite a bit different than we had before. Everything is now automated, and it wants to be fully controlled via these self-service portals. And we're doing things more from a software-defined infrastructure than ever before. What it means is that our network has changed dramatically. And the way that we look at how we do things on a physical version or a physical network don't necessarily apply very well in the virtual space. And security is one of those same concepts. And in fact, when we start looking at the security in a cloud environment, we have to deal with this thing called the shared responsibility model. And hopefully you guys are aware of that, because the shared responsibility model means there's a portion that AWS will provide, which is important. It's that foundational element that makes sure that that infrastructure is available. But there's also the part where we are responsible for it, where it is a partnership between us, AWS, and our customers. And Aaron's going to elaborate a little bit more in terms of what that responsibility entails, but more importantly, how that partnership can really be leveraged to tailor a very good security solution to help you guys overcome challenges that you may face. It's interesting, though, when we look at the headlines, and it's unfortunate that these are the headlines today. A lot of us don't understand the shared responsibility model very well, or the challenge is that our disciplines aren't aligned. We have these siloed disciplines where security is responsible for maintaining and managing the security portfolio. The infrastructure guys are responsible for the infrastructure, and the app guys, or DevOps, if you will, are responsible for the cloud. As a result of that, things are very confusing. And the bad guys are all too aware of this. And in fact, we did a minor experiment a little earlier this year, where we set up a cloud environment, and we put a dummy server on there. It didn't generate any traffic. We gave it a public IP address, and we connected it to the internet. Guess what? We got hacked. We let it sit there for 5 minutes, and we had 40 attacks against that infrastructure. Now, fortunately, we connected it to a honeynet, so we had honeynet in front of us, being able to collect information about what was going on. But within 5 minutes, we had 40 attacks against our infrastructure. Everything from brute force SSH attacks looking to hack our credentials, to botnets trying to figure out what we were and how we could join them and become another botnet. We let the service run for 7 days. 3.2 million attacks against a service that wasn't generating traffic, wasn't advertised. It's a scary world out there, and it's getting scarier. It is more important now that we align the disciplines and really understand how to leverage the partnerships to deliver a proper security posture. But bear in mind, the way that we did it before on-prem isn't necessarily going to translate to this new paradigm very effectively. On-prem, we had to think about things like static environments, very manually intensive processes. Now everything's automated, and it's happening fast. Happening much faster than someone's ability to log into some type of portal and make a change to be able to accommodate that on some set of rules or some other security appliance. Things have to happen dynamically. They have to be in tune to how the cloud is operating. Unfortunately, it is time for a new security model, and at Checkpoint, we've really been focusing with our partners to help develop that right model for what it is that organizations need to be worried about. We have a product called VSEC. VSEC is virtual security, and it's essentially taking all the wholesome goodness that we baked into our appliances, bringing that into the cloud, but in a way that works with the dynamic nature of the cloud, that works with the elastic nature of the cloud, that allows us to do things and maintain that elastic and viable cloud infrastructure without breaking the model, keeping DevOps focused on developing, and also keeping security guys focused on securing this infrastructure. And if you look at how VSEC can really help to enhance that AWS shared responsibility model, we can add a lot of additional layers beyond which AWS provides you. Now again, AWS is a secure infrastructure, and they'll provide you things like port filters or access control lists to allow you to segment your traffic and be able to police what traffic goes where. But they're not going to look at that payload and do any type of inspection to see, hey, this is malicious. This could potentially introduce harm into my VPC, or it could hit something else in any of my hosts. There's no information, there's no mechanism within AWS at all to allow you to see that level of detail. Not only that, if there's an anomaly somewhere, I want to know about it, I want to be alerted to it, and I want to trace that back to its origins, and I want to understand how best I can prevent that from spreading throughout the rest of my infrastructure. That's where we can come into play. And again, Aaron's going to help understand and describe a little bit more about what we're doing. Ultimately, what you're looking for in terms of security is security that delivers the right set of tools, the right set of capabilities, but plugs into what DevOps is already doing. DevOps doesn't want to learn security. Security is a roadblock for them. Don't make it such. Have security infused and a part of the DevOps processes so that it becomes a natural part of what they're doing anyway and keeps them in control of their process, and like I said, keeps the security guys in control of their security. Brief intro on what VSEC is all about. I'm going to hand it over to Aaron right now. He's going to walk you through a use case and some of the other interesting things that they're doing.
So thanks, Donald. Can everyone hear me okay? Oh, yeah, now they can. I think I should be drinking a beer right now, actually, because that's what everyone else seems to be doing. But so Checkpoint's asked me to talk about our security engineering in the cloud, since we're a Checkpoint customer. And as the head of security engineering and architecture, it's my team that looks after the technical security platforms at Xero. And I really wanted to leave you with 3 words to think about today, and these are the 3 most important words you'll hear. Automated, continuous, and visible. When you go out and talk to all these people out in this crowd, ask them whether their systems are automated, continuous, and visible, because certainly that's what I do. But quickly, Xero. Xero is an accounting solution. It's a cloud-based accounting solution, and it's very different to the companies out here. So we're not a security company, but security is in our DNA. And quickly about Xero, just so you understand the scale of our environment. We've got 1.2 million subscribers on our platform, 1.2 million small businesses using our platform on a daily basis. We've got 1,800 staff located across the globe. And when we think about that, we think about how those staff securely access our AWS environment on which we're hosted. And we have over $1.4 trillion worth of transactions processed through our platform every year, which are massive numbers, but what they actually mean to me is that partnering with organizations such as Checkpoint and others, as we were discussing, is super important because we're the custodians of data held inside AWS. But I wanted to actually talk about these 3 things and how they relate to our relationship with Checkpoint. And these are 3 key principles that I came up with when I joined Xero 4 years ago. The first one is the repeatable and automated build and management of security systems. So security, when I joined security, wasn't repeatable, it wasn't automated. But now we aim for everything we do as a security team to be repeatable and automated. And what does that actually mean? It means that when you speak to vendors, such as Checkpoint, you ask them how their systems operate in a continuous integration and continuous development type pipeline. Do they have APIs? Do they have support for auto-scaling, auto-registration, these types of technologies? You need to ensure that everything is repeatable and everything is automated, because repeatable is consistent and consistent is secure. The second thing is an accelerated pace of security innovation. So what does that actually mean? It means that the team inside Xero operates fast, like a development team themselves. They act and think like developers, and they don't work like a traditional security team. But that needs to extend across the shared responsibility model, as Don was talking about, where that shared responsibility is between Checkpoint and ourselves. So we need to push them to actually act that way themselves. New features all the time, competing with Amazon Web Services and competing with my own internal resources. Very, very important. The third thing is the whole concept of on-demand security infrastructure. And there's plenty of organizations out here, such as Checkpoint, that talk about on-demand security infrastructure that works at scale. But what does it mean? It means that you need to have licensing agreements that support on-demand infrastructure, such as using the Amazon Marketplace or using core-based licensing solutions that will allow you to scale up and scale down when you need them. But that scale up and scale down needs to include the ability for gateways to automatically spin up, register with managers, push policies, and then those gateways to automatically be licensed and running without manual intervention. It's really, really important. But here's the most technical slide I've got. It's all about defense in depth. Everyone says defense in depth is dead because we're in the cloud, but I'm telling you that it's not. Defense in depth is still a really important strategy to use when deploying in the cloud. And how do we do that at Xero? We deploy a threat protection zone. We have 5 threat protection zones distributed across the globe in different AWS regions. And in our environment, we focus on 4 key things: data security, system security, network security, and of course, monitoring, the visible. But we also adhere to AWS frameworks for best practice, such as applying security to all of our layers and focusing on securing your systems. So what does that actually mean for network security? It means that everything should be encrypted, so we need to use secure tunnels, and everything needs to ingress and egress through the threat protection zone. So for us, that means that we have over 160 checkpoint gateways inside our threat protection zones that support that ingress and egress. And we use them in unique ways. We actually use them for internet proxying, application proxying. We use them to transit SFTP traffic because we have legacy systems inside our environment and we use them to transit SFTP. And we have an amazing story where we've used them to transit SFTP, which is not the most cloud-friendly solution out there, but we've got solutions for that as well. And it's been great, but those 160 gateways are all working in an auto-scaling, auto-registration type environment, and one where that we can have central visibility. And why? Because we've got so many accounts. We started at Xero 3 years ago to move into AWS. I actually thought that we'd grow no larger than 5 AWS accounts. As you can see from that graph, we've got a lot more than 5. We've actually got about 80 AWS accounts at the moment. And considering it's probably only 11 o'clock, I don't know why I was looking at my watch, it's only 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow in New Zealand, where I'm from, we've probably got more accounts being spun up, and those accounts are being spun up automatically without our intervention. It's an automated process. But what we need to do is we need to actually protect against lateral movement inside our environment. So that's both the north-south and the east-west traffic. Why? Because inside Xero, we have product-based teams. Those product teams can spin up any accounts they like, as many VPCs as they like, and use whichever tools, systems, and technologies as they like, with the exception of security, where we provide them some guardrails. It means that if our banking team needs to talk to a service in our payroll team, that traffic transits across a VPC peering connection, up into a TPZ, through an application proxy layer, which is a bank of 12 checkpoint gateways with URL and application filtering, and then back down. It allows us to control the traffic both north-south and east-west. And as your environment sprawls and your environment grows and you have more traffic crossing across your environment and going out to the internet, it's really important to maintain that visibility. And that's one of the things that is generally overlooked inside our environment, lateral movement visibility. And it allows you to actually isolate and protect the important assets in your own ecosystem. Oh, wrong way. So, we talk about principles, automated, continuous, and visible. So we need to be automated, we need to use CI/CD, we need to use APIs, we need to use all of the good features that both AWS and checkpoint technologies provide, because automation is secure. Automation allows us to be continuous. Continuous means that we need to actually have systems in place to automatically respond when incidents occur. And visible means that we need to actually maintain visibility across our entire environment, from our host-based security up to our perimeter security and everywhere in between. Because there's a quote there from our site reliability team, which is, if you don't put a metric on it, how do you know what normal is? And that's true. because everything changes in the cloud, and you need to actually be monitoring everything inside your cloud-based environment. And that's what we do. Don?
Great. Thank you again, Aaron. So as you can see, looking at how the cloud operates and looking at what we're doing in the cloud, quite a bit different than what we've done on premise. So therefore, we've got to change kind of our approach. And we think that we're doing some really interesting things with respect to how we can give you back control, but keep it in such a way that doesn't break all the great things that the cloud can deliver. All these things that we were talking about and more, you can find out more about us visiting us at our booth. We're at booth number 125. We're just down the hall right there. Free beer going on right now. So I don't want to stand between anyone and free beer. So if you guys are ready, we're ready to come and greet you guys over there. Drink some free beer, learn some things about what it is that we're doing. Thank you guys very much for your time and attention. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of this show. Thank you.